What's up, guys? Tim Little, Matt Allen. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin, and welcome back to another video in our 2025 Buyer's Guide series. Today we are covering spinnerbaits and Alabama rigs.
We're covering two monster categories in one today, spinnerbaits and A-rigs. Now, some of you are coming in because it's Monday morning. We always do tactical videos on Monday morning, and you're just realizing that a buyer's guide started and you didn't know about it. That is correct. This is actually the third video. This thing started on Saturday. The reason why is that we go to videos 7 days a week during our Buyer's Guide series, and this is going to go for a few weeks. So buckle up if you've missed them up to this point. In the video description, we'll link those videos that have already happened. For those that have been following along, we promised a rod video today. That's not happening. We're plugging one more in, and the reason why is that the sales are shifting from one sale to the next through the weeks at Tackle Warehouse. They have already begun their Black Friday series of sales, and we wanted to make sure that we got these two monster categories covered. That's why they're in one video. Tomorrow, we'll start the rod videos. With that, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, starting with spinnerbaits. Basically, we broke them down into a few different categories. The first category up is going to be full frame spinnerbaits. The most vibration, the most flash. So we knocked it down to two for you. Right here, we have the Catalyst, the Nichols Catalyst. Along with the dual willow blades, you got a plated head. So a little bit extra flash in that spinnerbait world. And then over here we have the Dirty Jigs. That's the Dirty Flake. So you have the best of both worlds. You have Dirty Jigs colors, their skirt colors from their Dirty Jigs line, and then you have the Nichols, the blades with some extra glitter, some flash on there. So having that extra, those prettier blades on there paired up with some of your favorite Dirty Jigs colors, those guys right there are two awesome full frame spinnerbaits.
Now, from there, the next category is going to be those, let's call them mid frames, for lack of a better term. They're not the full-size giant spinnerbaits, right? You throw a giant spinnerbait, like Tim said, maximum flash, maximum vibration, giant hunting, if you will. But I find most of the time we're throwing mid frames, right? A little bit smaller. That's where we spend a lot of our time. So a little bit bigger category as well. We've got 4 of them here for you. The first one from Dirty Jigs, we have the compact spinnerbait. A little bit smaller frame. I mean, here's a frame comparison to that Nichols Dirty Flake. So there's the Nichols, there's that compact spinnerbait. Just a little bit smaller all the way around. Amazing Dirty Jigs colors. Unbelievable. It's a great bait. Another one from Demiki, we have the TOT. The beauty of this Demiki is that you've got a very light wire spinnerbait. You've got very lightweight blades. You can fish it really slow and get a lot of flash and a lot of vibration out of it. Next one up from War Eagle, we have the Screamin' Eagle. Again, these are just our standouts. These are our favorites. There are endless spinnerbaits on the market, but this is where our confidence lies. The Screamin' Eagle is the opposite. It's got this hidden weight system in it where there's a lot of weight hiding inside that skirt, and you can go way faster still in a slimmed down mid-size profile. And then last but not least, this is the bait that I find myself tying on first a lot of the time. From Megabass, this is the SV3. Downsized blades, mid-size frame, sticky sharp hook, and great colors. This is a bait that just does it all really well. Again, significantly downsized from, say, a full frame spinnerbait, but a bait that will get you a lot of bites in a lot of different conditions.
All right, next up, we have 2 more for you in the finesse category. Hand me one of those full frames real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about a finesse size spinnerbait, right? We're talking about a really downsized spinnerbait, smaller blades, smaller profile. You know, these come into play pressured fish, clear water, those types of situations when you just need to get bit and they won't eat that full frame. So we have two for you. We got the War Eagle, the finesse right there. And then we have the Z-Man, the sling blades. Those are both awesome, awesome little compact, finesse-y style spinnerbaits.
And note that color too. Like that tells it all, right? Look at that color. Look at that color. And then all of a sudden, just
all of a sudden,
clear, right?
Clear, natural.
When you just need to get bit. Last but not least, other end of the spectrum. We spend 95% of our time throwing double willow spinnerbaits. Tim and I both, that's just where our confidence lies. But when that water gets really murky, and in the spring there's a window where those orange kicker blades just get the big bites. There are two standouts. These are both made by Nichols. Here you've got that kicker blade with the willow. Here you've got that kicker blade with the Indiana. Now we will link all of this in the video description for you, okay? Every single bait, this is how we do all of the buyer's guides. In fact, it's how we do all of our videos all the time. In the video description below the video, whether you're on YouTube right now, whether you're on TacticalBassin.com, you're on Facebook, wherever you're watching this video, there's a description below the video with links in the order that we talk about them. Those links will take you straight to Tackle Warehouse where you can see detailed photos, available colors, pricing, specs, all that stuff. We also, with that link, we give you our personal favorite colors, favorite sizes, all the information so that you know exactly what it is that we prefer, and then you can adjust accordingly however you want to. But two more great spinnerbaits, and again, we'll link the specifics for you in the video description.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about trailer hooks. Some guys prefer them, some guys don't. You know, there's different
Some
days they eat it. Some days they're eating the whole spinnerbait. Some days you're just getting them under the chin. So we basically kind of narrowed it down to two different trailer hooks. We have the Gamakatsu, that's the Trailer SP, has a little kind of a sleeve over the top that you run your main hook through, and it just main hook through, and it just lines up back there for you straight. And then the other one, stealing it from me. The G Finesse, a little bit lighter wire. Both sit really straight on the shank of the hook. This actually comes with a little rubber stopper you can put on first and then put your hook down and put one on it, kind of sandwich it in between, or slip it over and run it through. But both of these add just an additional hook if they are slapping at the bait. They're not eating it very well. But a lot of times, I don't run a stinger hook. It all depends on the day and how those fish are acting and eating. But if you need a stinger hook, full size and more of your finesse size.
He just nailed it. Full size and finesse. That G-Power Stinger, that little guy, the way it sort of floats on the back of your spinnerbait instead of being like locked on, seems to work so much better with the small spinnerbaits. It keeps them from blowing out and not running right. But your other option, if you want to get fish to eat the bait completely and get hooked really well without a stinger hook, is to add a swim bait to the back. When you give them a proper target, they tend to eat it. So we have found through the years that most of the time when we're getting short strikes, if we put a good swim bait on the back, those fish start engulfing the spinnerbait. And that's why Tim's saying a lot of times I don't use a stinger hook at all. You also gain the ability, a spinnerbait is unbelievably weedless. People don't realize everywhere you can throw it because the entire arm and blades is acting as a weed guard. Yeah. It's amazing where you can throw it if you don't put a stinger hook on. But again, there's just days where you have to have it. A couple of swim baits for you. For your smaller spinnerbaits, from Nomad, we have that 4-inch Spectre minnow. And that 4-inch is key. Over here from Kitech, for your larger full frame type baits, we have the 4.3 Kitech Fat Swing Impact. Again, 4.3. The more popular size is the 4.8. We're downsized here. It seems like a minor thing. Here's why size is critical. The longer the swim bait, the more often that when you're casting that thing, spinnerbaits like to roll in the wind, that tail will come around and hook on the hook point and screw up your cast. A small adjustment by going down to a 4.3 or to a true 4-inch, the vast majority of that ends, you get all the value of a swim bait and none of the problems.
Yeah, that live ops too, I really like it. It has that foil in the body of the bait, so you get a little extra flash. Not that it really applies to the spinnerbait per se, but it's a cool little swim bait.
Last but not least is just a note on spinnerbait storage. If you watched us talk about spinnerbaits in the last 2-3 years, you've seen this before. These are the Busby Fast Flats bags. Specifically, this size is called the half large. Okay, that's the size. I am fanatical about spinnerbaits, just like I'm fanatical about a lot of things bass fishing. I own way too many. I sort them by chartreuse blades, white blades, gold blades, silver blades, coated blades, you name it. I also sort them by model, right? Dirty Flake spinnerbaits, my War Eagle Screaming Eagles, my War Eagle Finesses. I used to carry boxes and boxes and boxes of spinnerbaits. And if I thought that that was going to be the bite, it would really screw up my whole boat, because I had no way to just one of these, one of those. That wasn't how I did it. When I went to these fast flats, I'm not going to open these because the boat's a little damp right now and I don't want to have to dry them all back out. But the number of spinnerbaits in here is insane. This is like 2 boxes of spinnerbaits and they take up no room. I have been able to take my spinnerbait containers, my storage, from like a pile down to a little row of bags. It's incredible what a difference that has made in my storage for spinnerbaits. All right, should we shift gears?
Yeah, jumping over to A-rigs. How do you want to do this? You want to talk about the different rigs?
Oh, you just start going and we'll figure it out.
All right, so we talked about the spinnerbaits. Obviously, the benefit of a spinnerbait, having that flash, that vibration, you're mimicking a small school of bait fish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what better represents a small school of bait fish than an actual school of bait fish?
Right.
The A-rig. Now, through the years, Matt and I, we've caught hundreds, if not thousands, of fish on A-rigs. We've tried just about every single rig. We've played around with putting full-size swim baits on some original custom, stuff we've made.
Mm-hmm.
Through the years, we've realized a couple things. One, the flex in the blades themselves matter. If you can get that ball of bait to condense and expand, the more natural it looks, the more bites you get. And 2, you can actually generate bites on those rod twitches or those reel twitches. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you will have a follower, and when you add that twitch or that pump, they eat. That fish has to, it keys into its like predatory instinct, right? It either has to fight or flight. It has to eat or go, right? So that's how you generate those bites. So with that, and with partnering with Hog Farmer, we've come out over the last several years with some awesome A-rigs.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yeah, go for it.
So there are all sorts of A-rigs on the market, right? And we have played with hundreds of versions through the years. We were constantly tweaking them to the point that we had one of our good friends who was building custom rigs for us 4 years because what was on the market wasn't right. People were constantly asking us for them, and he got tired of building them. So we looked around for a long time for where on earth could we get these A-rigs made. And Tim and I don't like making baits. That is not our passion. We have a handful of things on the market that we have our name on. There are a lot of things on the market that we've helped design without our name on them because we want to forward bass fishing as a whole. We don't care that our name's on it or not. It doesn't matter. We just want it to be right. So we discovered the quality at Hog Farmer. Hog Farmer is a U.S. brand. It's a small company. They do it the right way. It's real Americans sitting in a real shop in Tennessee building the real thing in person, start to finish. They're awesome people. It's an awesome brand, and they do an amazing job. So when this thing had grown enough that we realized, hey, nobody is building a flexible rig the right way. You might notice now there are some flexible rigs on the market. Where do you think that came from? There weren't at the time. So all of that, now it's set up for you, right back to where you were.
Yeah, so basically throughout the last few years, we've designed a few different rigs, and we have the full flex rig. Again, when we're talking about flex, we're talking about having light enough wire that there's some play in that flex, in that ball of bait. So we had to find that fine line through the years of playing around with our own rigs and having buddies make them for us, you know, there are light wire that break, and we didn't want to come to market with a wire that might break. So we got the perfect wire in there for that flex rig. But we have, you want to explain the different rigs that we have, the entire line?
So through the years, this started as the flex rig, the original, and that is a full size A-rig, 5-wire rig, but they come rigged the exact way that Tim and I throw them. When you rig a rig properly, you only need to have 3 hooks. You can even have less than that, but you need, in a perfect world, you have 3 hooks on your rig. What do you got? Is that a full size? It sure is. Look at that. There's the flex rig right there. So we built the flex rig in both bladed and non-bladed. As time went on, we found that there were times where we wanted a little smaller rig, so we created the mini. After the mini, which Tim is trying to untangle over there, so significantly smaller, but same thing, super flexible. Time goes on again, we decided to do the micro. And at the time, there was nothing like that. You can throw that on a spinning rod. You could throw it on bait finesse gear. It hardly weighs more than that spinnerbait, even loaded down. It's amazing. All of those come in bladed and non-bladed. Now, like I said, they come set up the way that we do it. 3 wires ready for hooks, 2 wires ready for dummy baits. If you do that properly, that's all you ever need. That said, there are plenty of people who live in states that are, they allow 5 hooks, and no matter what, they want their 5 hooks. So last year, no problem, we understand. We came out with the mini 5 hook. So those are the 4 rigs. Of course, it's actually 8 rigs because you can get them in bladed and non-bladed depending on your conditions. But those are the rigs. There are a lot of rigs on the market, but we are so confident in those. We didn't want to make rigs. We did it because it was necessary, because we were getting so many more bites than the people around us. So again, we'll link all that in the video description. But more importantly, we'll jump into some of the baits that we have confidence in, the components we have confidence in, as well as the convenient ways we store them. Because one of the things that people hate most about rigs is trying to figure out how on earth to keep them in the boat. You keep pulling it out of that rig wrangler right there.
Yeah, this just goes on your rod. You basically pull your line up through and it pulls your whole rig into it, keeps it flat.
Everybody's got their favorite way to store them. Tim's been using that for years. I use a rod glove. So what I do is your standard rod glove, I go 1 size larger than the rod. That way it's a little longer. So there's a full size flex rig, non-bladed. And then I just put my rod glove on, come down, slide it the rest of the way. And that's how it sits. I can store that in my rod locker, no mess, no issue. Both of these methods work beautifully. It's just user preference. And then the actual storing of the rigs, you want to hand me that guy there? Tackle Warehouse came out with these, I don't know, a few years ago. These are awesome. They're not expensive. You can buy just the tubes, or you can buy, see, I've got my rigs just ready to rock. Different trailers, different setups, some bladed, some non, so you can buy the tubes to store them in, or you can buy the whole box with all the tubes in it. And I do it by size because, again, I am fanatical and insane about my gear.
Yeah, I do it by size. I do it like bladed, non-bladed. One thing that we do want to touch on too, when we were building these rigs, you know, some of the things that we wanted a swivel in the head, right, to help eliminate line twist. Every package comes with a rig that has snaps on it, as well as split rings. We want you to be able to change out or rig the A-rigs like we rig them. So, you know, we've had snaps fail in the past. The Hog Farmer snaps are super high end. I just have always swapped out to split rings.
We've always used split rings. So we wanted you to have them the exact way that we fish them. But then when we did that, we were like, hang on, not everybody owns split ring pliers. Is it actually smart to put a rig on the shelf where they can't rig it? So now they come with snaps for the guy who just wants to snap it, forget it, and go. But you also have the components in the bag to do it the exact way that we do it.
Right. So now that we've talked about the rigs, we kind of showed you the different sizes. And that's such a fun one. What's cool about this little micro is you can throw it on your favorite, like your spinnerbait rod, whatever. I mean, you can throw it on a spinning rod, and big fish still eat it. But
that has changed A-rigging, because most people that don't A-rig, they don't do it because it's such a pain, right? They're so heavy, they're cumbersome, it's not fun. That completely changed that. Now you're just whipping it around like it's another spinnerbait or crankbait or anything else. It's nothing. Anybody can sling that thing, from a little kid to a senior, everybody in between. It's nothing to sling a micro A-rig. You can do it all day long, no issue.
Yeah, it takes a lot of body strength to throw this all day. I mean, you're throwing 3/8 or half-ounce heads. It's a big profile in the water, lots of resistance with the blades. Completely opposite with this. This is so easy to throw. All right, so as far as rigging, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Some of our favorite split rings, the owner hyper wires. This is how we connect our heads to the swivels if we do cut off the snaps. And then obviously the little owner centering pin. That's how we keep our dummies free swinging, free swimming on the top. And then as far as actual baits themselves, let's talk about the swim baits. For the most part, I generally use just a couple swim baits. Whether it's a micro rig or the full-size flex rig, I'm throwing some kind of Kitech. Whether it's the 4.8, the 4.3, 2.8, it all depends on what I'm trying to mimic, trying to match the hatch as far as the rig itself and the size of baits. Armor shads, these guys right here are awesome little swim baits for the teasers. And you guys want to talk about these?
Sure, yeah.
It all depends, you know, without going too in depth on this stuff. This is a buyer's guide without going into like a full-on seminar. It has to do with the role of the swim bait, the time of year, the water temps, how much action the tail kick has. So that's why we have a couple different options. But
yeah, this is the X-Zone Swammer, and this is where a lot of my confidence lies. But these are a very hard rolling swim bait, so I tend to use them later in spring and earlier in fall, right? When fish are still really aggressive. And again, different sizes pairing up dummies versus my full-size baits. And then again, that armor shad, Tim mentioned using that as dummies on some of your full-size rigs. That's also my favorite swim bait for the micro. On that micro rig, you throw 5 of those on there. They're a very durable bait. So a lot of times when you go to the little swim baits, they tear really easy. This is a very durable bait. And because it is durable, it has a very high vibration. So while it is a very small rig, 5 of them swimming creates a large presence in the water, and I feel like I catch more fish because of it. Then last but not least is the hooks that we use. The vast majority of the time on all of our larger rigs, this is called the Matt Allen swimbait head. From the 1/8 ounce all the way up to your half plus. Those are what we put on our rigs and have for years. The 1/8 in particular has a downsized hook on it, heavy wire, but downsized. So you're able to sling that rig, even a full-size rig, on like a 7/6 medium heavy. You don't have to have some giant swim bait rod to sling that thing. And then the little guy, the micro, that's the one that I feel like people don't know what to use. By far the best head we found to date is from Z-Man. It's called the Trout Eye Finesse. That little head in an 1/8 or a 3/16 ounce is awesome because they're very lightweight. They pair up great to the tiny baits. But that trout eye, that is not a fresh, that's not like a rainbow trout.
Saltwater, yeah.
Saltwater. So it is an upgraded hook. It's a stout hook, even though it's small. You can lean on a 5 or 6 pound largemouth and start wrenching on them, and you're not bending those hooks out, but they're still light enough and small enough to fish your tiny swim baits effectively.
Yeah, so that finesse version, what he was trying to say was that it's a saltwater hook. So don't throw the saltwater hook on the A-rig, get the finesse. Even though it says finesse, don't be confused because it's still a super stout hook and you will not bend it out.
All right, guys, you want to wrap us up?
Go for it.
All right, right there, we're gonna wrap it up. We had promised that today would be the start of rods, but we wanted to get this video in here as well. So tomorrow morning, we will start talking rods. We've got like 5 or 6 rod videos for you, and they coincide with the Tackle Warehouse sale. Those rods that we're talking about will be on sale. We are so excited to do this Buyer's Guide series. We enjoy doing this for you because we know it's highly requested. We know this information helps people make educated decisions. We'd rather be out fishing today, but we know this is valuable to you, so we are willing to do it. If you guys enjoy the video, if you enjoy the series, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys.